G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith, and I'm your host, and it's time to get back to the news with Enview and Dint Golf Solutions, Walking the Fairways. Ladies and gentlemen, a wonderful part of having a partner like Enview is that we get the beautiful mind. I say the beautiful mind, it's a great movie title, but the beautiful mind of Yuri Carpro, who's the guru at Enview, the technical services manager for Turf. G'day, Yuri, how you doing?
G'day, Steve. I'm going well.
Mate, I hope you don't mind me really putting you up there on a pedestal as a guru. I know lots of people, I do chatter around and people see you in that way. So that's great to see that we've got your insight, we've got your knowledge here, and this is something that we're able to talk about on the podcast from time to time and having your mind. Mate, we're coming into March. Lots of people are doing renovations at this time of the year on their turf surfaces, particularly greens. What are some of the things as, maybe some feeding pests around, as I call them, at this time of the year that I remember from my time greenkeeping? What sort of things will we be watchful of at the moment?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was just on a golf course the other day. We collected some plugs out of some couch grass fairways and surrounds, and had a look, and there's some sod webworm around. So the caterpillars are certainly active. We know people are having trouble keeping up with the growth rates. Both the cool and the warm season grasses are really going well at the moment, so it's nice and lush for the caterpillars. And when you're doing your renovations and you're punching the holes in the greens, that's a great place for a cutworm to establish. So it's something certainly to be aware of at this time of the year.
I remember, I think we were just saying, before we hit record, I remember my time, particularly in my younger days, I remember Superintendent was showing me particularly where they do, like you said, they find a home in those core holes and those holes that we've opened up in the greens. They feed around the tops traditionally to begin with before you start to see bigger patches.
Exactly, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're living inside that hole and then come out at night time and have a bit of a feed around that core hole and then duck back in during the day.
And other things, moths and things come from this as well? Other caterpillars will eventually develop, and these are the signs that we're looking for?
Yes, I'm noticing on my lawn at night time when I'm sort of walking around that there's quite a bit of moth activity in the grass, so I think it's sort of prime time for caterpillars this season. And they're funny pests. Sometimes we get a lot, and some years we don't get many. And I think this might be a year where, with the growing conditions, it could be a year for caterpillar activity before we head into the cooler months.
We've certainly had a last hurrah from Mother Nature with the rains across the northern parts of Australia, eastern parts of Australia as well, all over the place, to be fair. Lots of good growth as the final growing season before things start to really cool down. What products are available through the Enview range that we would be considering talking to our distributors of the products? What will we be looking into?
With the caterpillars, Tetrino obviously comes to mind. It's a long-lasting residual that'll control caterpillars quickly and for a long time. So that works well. And if you've had issues with other pests, I've noticed that there's been quite a bit of billbug activity with people who've got kikuyu.
Yep.
So if there's some of those adult pests still around, then things like Tempo Extra will help control those adults before they overwinter and become our problem for next season. So there's a couple of options for those.
Fantastic. Good ones that we can look into and ask questions about for our particular individual situations, which is something you've got to do. Very prudent to do, to make sure you're checking that out for your situation. Now, also, mate, the northern parts of Australia, lots of rainfall, golf courses and townships underwater, sadly and disappointingly throughout this. But on the back of that will often be very much challenges in turf management as well, usually fungal related and things like that. What sort of things are we going to be considering to be conscious of and be watchful for as those floodwaters tend to recede?
Yeah, well, certainly disease is an issue. So hopefully people got out some preventative fungicides before the heavy rains came, and that'll be something to, again, jump on as soon as they can, because, leaf and root diseases with the humidity, the water, the saturated soils and still high temperatures, disease is certainly going to be an issue. So it's something to be really aware of.
Be conscious of. Very challenging time for those that have copped. People, we always say you've got to be careful what you wish for, and certainly it was a sort of a slow start to the wet season for the northern tropics of Australia, but geez, Mother Nature has really given us something to finish off with one last roll of the dice. So we hope everyone up there is doing well and okay. But Yuri, great, thankful to you for jumping on as always on the podcast and sharing your mind, your beautiful mind as I call it, mate. So I really appreciate you doing so, Yuri. Thank you very much.
No problem at all, Steve. We'll catch up next time.
Indeed. Now, you've probably seen a few posts floating around on my social media pages from Dint Golf Solutions about Dint's incredible new range of long-life tines and dynamite tines that they've just launched. And the results? They are seriously impressive, I'm here to tell you. Superintendents right across the country are sharing feedback after renovations, and these things are going the distance. And you know that song from Cake, you might remember it from back in the 90s, Going the Distance? Yes, that's exactly what these tines are doing. I was recently shown a photo from Jared, superintendent at Rich River Golf Club, down along the Murray, of his side eject Dint dynamite tines after 54 holes, and they still look as good as new. The wear resistance of these tines, and it's in the name, the long life tines, is absolutely astonishing. Simon Snedden up at Gold Creek, the superintendent of Gold Creek in the nation's capital in Canberra, is seeing the same thing with the Dint German long life Ninja tines. Now, being only 4.5 millimetres, these smaller tines can often wear down quite quickly, but not the Dint long life tiny tines. And then there's Nathan McGraw at Mossvale. Now, he's been running the Dint German Long Life 8mm solid tines, and he reckons he can't wear them out. That's what he's saying. So the feedback is outstanding. So if you're sick of wasting time and money on tines that don't last the distance, and if you want to get the job done properly the right way the first time, get in touch with Adam, Jonna, or Nathan at Dint Golf Solutions, or jump online and order them direct on their website at www.dint.com.au, and it's a fantastic website. Makes life very simple for ordering at your convenience. Dint Golf Solutions, tines that go the distance. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode number 177. Now, I felt this time we'll start in New South Wales, my home state, and we're going to go up north of Sydney to Newcastle Golf Club. And they've officially opened their new second hole for play. This hole will ultimately become their 18th hole of their brand new routing. Now, I will share some new photos of this new hole. There's some photos going around on the club's social media pages. Now, to give you an idea of just what the hole is, it's a mid-length par 4. It's a slight dogleg to the right, and it has a green complex where the green is angled diagonally from left to right. Now, there's 3 bunkers flanking the full length of the right side of the green, and there's also a bunker, one single bunker over to the back left of the green as well. So essentially, if you play a left to right shot shape, it will probably suit your game a little more. The tee shot is left to right, and the approach to the green will be also left to right in the way that angle runs, and the entry to the green itself in the way that the bunkers have been placed. Now, if you're like me, however, and you shape the ball right to left, it looks like a real challenge. And I'm going to say this thing will break me. I'm just throwing it out there, right? Because I play a draw, right-handed player play a draw. This is everything that I do not do very easily. So it's going to be a challenge for me when I get out there and play it. But it looks like a real belter to finish, and it's open right now, and the membership are playing it and getting used to it already. Now, this new coursework has been designed by Harrison Golf. And if you're not sure, Harrison Golf consists of Bob Harrison and Scott Champion, the 2 architects of the company. And I will keep you up to date with how Newcastle is progressing, but it's great to see. And I did talk about Newcastle at length in the new design for this golf course with the new holes that are going on out the back in 15 and 16 and so on. It's going to be really, really impressive. And some of the stuff that we're seeing, there's videos that are getting out there. Scott Campbell Photography, Scott's working with the club, putting some of the great imagery, photos and videos that are going through on the social media stuff. So if you want to follow it, go to Newcastle Golf Club social media channels, in particular like Instagram, and you can stay up to date with what's going on. There's great imagery coming out, and it's an easy way to keep an eye on things that are happening at Newcastle, and you get a real sense of just what's going on. They're showing you some great footage, and they've even got some of the some of the club people, I think the pro shop as well, playing the holes when they're open. So they're doing a good job up there at Newcastle, and Harrison Golf are also doing exceptional new work up there with the design, in my opinion. Now we go to Victoria. A wonderful part of listening to Walking the Fairways on the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast is that we get to travel around and hear from different people across Australia and New Zealand. And this one is no different. We're heading down into Victoria on the western side of Port Phillip Bay to a wonderful, special location. And that is where a golf club called Queenscliff Golf Club is located on its very own island. And I've got joining us Superintendent Jake Sizer from Queenscliff. G'day, Jake. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Steve. Absolute pleasure to be on here.
Mate, thank you very much for joining in once we got in touch, and I'm really glad you said yes to coming on because I touched on a couple of little things there, mate. This is a special part of the world. You're in this little, very, very isolated, in a sense, nook. It's a quiet, tucked-away position. You're on your own island. You've got to cross a bridge.
Yes.
Tell us, I want you to explain, mate. This is the part that I love here. And I've not been there, but I've done a lot of Google searching. And when we caught up last year in Sydney, we were talking a little bit about it. Tell us what you have to go through to get to your clubhouse from the mainland, because this is unreal.
Yes, so obviously it's very unique here on the island.
What's the island? Swan? Is it Swan Island?
Yeah, Swan Island.
Yep.
Swan Island, that's correct. So we share the land with the Australian Defence Department. So we have a security guard and a gate at the front entrance on a one-way bridge. So
on a single-lane bridge, you're turning up to Queenscliff for a round of golf, and then you're welcomed by a security guard.
It is. It's very daunting to a lot of people when they turn up. They kind of think, oh, have I got the right place? But yes, yeah, very unique. So obviously the golfers, before getting past through the boom gate, they have to have their registration put down and hand over their license information. So
there you go. Good checkpoint. That
it is. We definitely have probably the best security in the world on a golf course, I think. So we don't have any vandals or that, but. Yeah.
Unique position. And it's a very, very special corner of Victoria, this, isn't it? The wonderful Swan Island. And not only is it sort of removed from everything else and your very quiet space, and it adds to the uniqueness of being I suppose, at one with the local environment, really, because you're so removed from a local township. I mean, it's a beautiful space. Describe a little bit of the island for us, and maybe even then some of the forces that you've got to manage on this wonderful golf course.
Yes. So, obviously, we have a lot of wildlife that live on the island here. We have a lot of kangaroos. Obviously, they don't have any predators over here, so there is a bit of an influx of the population here.
Yeah, right.
Plenty of possums, bird life. We have people that are into bird watching that pay a yearly membership just so they can come over and walk the course and have a look at bird life.
That's pretty cool.
And take photos without playing golf. So
that's pretty awesome. You got such a unique site that's you're getting people who really do, and bird watchers are right into this stuff, right? They are full on into. They want to find a location that's so sort of tucked away that doesn't get disturbed by anything. And like you said, many predators and things like that are like foxes and rabbits and all sorts of other outside sort of introduced species. Bird watchers really do get to a lovely space, and they know what they've got when they get there, and they want to find something really good, don't they?
Yes, they do. They do. We actually have a bird that is near endangered, which is the orange-bellied parrot. Okay. And that bird travels from Tasmania to us and a little part in South Australia as well.
Wow.
And the problem is with this little bird is most of the time when it does fly to between Tasmania and here, it does get swallowed up by waves in the ocean, or it doesn't quite make the distance. So they are very limited. So whenever we do spot one, I've got a guy on speed dial and he comes straight away to take photos or any sighting of it. But
that's it.
Yes, so there hasn't been any sighting over the last 4 years, which is a bit sad, but each one that is in the wild is tagged and numbered. So
there
they
you
do
go. That's staggering.
keep an eye on what is travelling around. Yes.
Quite
so
a sanctuary.
It is. It really is. So
Unreal.
yeah, that's something that's pretty special. And we do have, we have a lot of eagles and sea eagles and those sort of big birds of the sky that, they hover around our island and pick off the little rats or baby possums. And
That's the natural cycle of life. I laugh because these are all parts of the natural cycles of the local environment.
It is.
Watching
as well
falcons and eagles dive bomb to try and get
it's
to
beautiful.
try and get their food.
It's a great sight.
Something different.
Yeah, and then obviously we have a lot of native grasses and things like that. With the coastal saltbush, lots of bearded heath, lots of mooners and all those protected trees. So we have to be very cautious on our chemical usage, as well as what gets removed or things like that when it comes to cutting limbs off and things like that of trees. Obviously, we're close to the water as well, so those greens that hug that coastline along there, we have to be very careful of wind direction when spraying with drift and things like that. So lots of little challenges.
That's unreal. And you got some tidal challenges as well with the salt water that you deal with.
We do. Over the last 2 years, we have had some king tides that have come through, broken some of our edges of waterways and has crept onto our fairways, which, as all greenkeepers know, salt water is a big no-no.
That's it. No, we don't
on
like
our
that.
turf.
We don't like that influx.
So we have had plenty of issues with that over the last year. Over the last 2 years, it has been worse than ever. Last year we had it happen, and it kind of was like, oh, this is a once in 100-year flux of water. It won't happen again. And then in winter of 2025, it did happen again. So that was 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
so
right.
we decided we had to take action. So we've put a lot of water mitigation and bunding around areas. So
okay.
A lot of our plans of doing certain construction jobs last year was in between managing getting that right too, in case any more high tides and king tides flushed into our fairways.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty unique, and those areas are still trying to recover now.
Yeah, right.
Some of those areas we've had to dig out, take the soil away because the soil's so salt affected. Bring in fresh soil, relay some new turf there, and try and improve that. Yeah,
there you go, mate. Challenging stuff. They're all very, very interesting things and unique parts of Swan Island and where you're located as a golf course. But we haven't even talked about golf yet. Sounds like on face value, it sounds like a wildlife sanctuary.
It really is, and it does feel like that as you drive around in the early mornings. So we have a good hour or two before any other humans come onto the golf course. So we get that heads up where in that 2 hours, an hour or two in the morning, you drive around or you walk around and everything's so peaceful. It's just you, the wildlife. It's really special.
That's unreal. What a magical place.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, mate, let's get into a few things. I want to hear a little bit about we've got you on here to talk about some of the improvements you've been making and what the club's been doing to improve a golf course in recent time. And you and I have been chatting a little bit about it. Mate, last night you had a late night though. A few little bits and pieces to worry about with some irrigation. Tell us a little bit about your late night last night.
I did have a late night.
Not on the sauce, mate. This is a work thing.
No, this is definitely a work thing. Yes, I had a phone call yesterday afternoon that entering the club that there was water coming out next to the road, which is not a good sign, especially on a Sunday.
No one's idea of fun.
You definitely don't want to get that phone call. So I had to come in late last night. Had the local water board because it was pre water meter it was their issue, not mine, to fix, which was good for a change.
Yep.
And so I had to be in with them. They repaired that and had to make sure that the mains was right. So the water main coming into the club had split due to the age of the pipe. And so they repaired that. I had to wait until that was all good, had water back on here, which meant that I could prime up the pumps and get my irrigation ready for the night.
Yeah, wow.
So it was it was a late one. I think I left here about 11:15.
Yeah, right.
And then back here in the morning at 5:30. So it was
the life of a superintendent, mate. Don't you love it?
It really is. It really is. But that's the love. That's the love of the game, isn't it?
That's it. These are the things, mate. Indeed, they are. Now, Jake, some of the improvements on course that I've been watching some of the stuff that you've been doing. You talked a little bit there about dealing with some of the salt issues from the high king tides, dealing with some of the stuff on your fairways. But one of the things that I really took interest in that you did last year was the extension of your second fairway. You really brought back a little bit further towards the tee. It's a little bit of a carry from the tee to get to the fairway. Tell us a little bit about what was involved in that one on course.
Yeah, so when I came back to the club as superintendent, it was something that had dramatically gotten worse over the years, was the carry towards the second fairway. So this area was very muddy, like all year round, very soggy. The turf quality had really dropped, as well as the path on the left that was near existent anymore. Where that path used to be a quite nice path that used to run along the water as of there.
Yep.
And being the second hole, that's your second impression of anyone coming to the club.
Sure.
So I put that as a high priority to fix that area. And so we took that project on. We knew it was going to take a lot of soil to raise that whole area. And we knew it was going to take a lot of turf. So we got our Santarano turf nursery up and as best as we could, and the turf quality seemed to be really good. So we end up stripping over 2,000 square metres off our nursery, which was every metre that we had.
Yeah, right.
And we laid that by hand with a group of volunteers and my guys over a couple of days.
Nice.
And we, the amount of soil that we brought in was lots. Probably close to 400 or 500 tractor trailer loads, which is 2 square meters, 2 to 3 square cubic meters on each trailer.
Wow! So you guys were doing that in house?
We did everything in house.
Bringing that across,
correct?
Right?
Yes. Yep. So we managed to raise the second fairway there and bring it a good 40, 50 meters towards the tee, which was definitely. The ladies definitely were happy about that.
Sure.
As most of them couldn't even carry that.
And that it's just about making the golf course more playable for more people as well. Without, like you said, the second hole, you're still on the introduction to the golf course. You're still working your way in as a player, and sometimes. Let's face it, if you're not someone who can bomb it and, hit it 100 metres or 200 metres in the air, you're still wanting to get around and enjoy the space. These are all the little improvements that golf courses make across the board to many and very different types of people that come to enjoy the golf at particular courses. And this is what you've done there on course. So it's great to hear, mate. Great improvements.
Yeah, no, it's been great, and I've had nothing but great feedback about it.
That's awesome.
That's good. Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you've been up to over the last sort of 12 months, mate?
So over the last 12 months, obviously we've been doing the raising all the areas where the wetlands are to stop any salt water coming through.
That'd be a big challenge overall, I would think, because being on an island, you've got lots of areas where water's sort of coming up to the edge of golf holes and cutting in across little bits as well. That you're checking your levels and seeing where these last 2 events had got to being higher than previous. I mean, these are all. There's a fair bit in that.
There is. So we had to pick our worst areas where most of the water was coming through, and we had to make mounds and make it look tasteful. You don't want just a massive sausage, of soil just left there.
Massive sausage.
And
I like
so you would, had to look tasteful and look natural, especially to our landscape.
Sure.
Our island's pretty flat. There is a few hills, but they're more sand dunes.
Okay.
So we had to make that look the same and make sure it fits. And I'm quite happy with it. Obviously, it's still growing in now.
Yep.
I'll give it an oversow as we get into autumn and that sort of thing.
So were they turfed out first?
We didn't.
seeded?
We actually just sprigged it.
Okay.
So we sprigged it, and then we're going to oversow some rough, and we just want that whole area to be quite wispy.
Okay.
Unmowed sort of look, and it's without taking away the view of some of our salt marsh areas and our wetlands. It doesn't take the view away, which was hard to do as well. So I think we've done a great job there. I've had I've had a few volunteers help me with that, and
that's awesome.
It's been great.
Very good improvements, mate. What else has been happening?
So we also installed a couple of rainbird heads into the fairways.
Oh, okay.
Which we don't have any fairway irrigation here.
Oh, righto. So this is a big step.
It's a big step, really big step. So the only fairway irrigation we had was having impact sprinklers on stands and dragging on hoses.
Oh, geez, I remember that. Mate, wow, that's old school stuff, and you're still using it. I know there's golf courses around that are listening that still do have those pieces of infrastructure, and whilst they're old, they still work, right? So
they still work.
You do with what you got to do, but to have some in-ground, in-head sprinkler heads or pop-ups, I should say, on your fairways, on bits of fairways. These are steps to improving the quality of the golf course. Again, you don't need to go back there. You just turn them on. Are they? Do you plug? Do you turn them on with a key? Are they isolated heads?
Yeah, they're isolated.
Still easy to manage.
So much better than dragging hoses around.
Absolutely.
But this year we only managed to get 18 of them out onto the course, which is just in the dry hitting areas on the worst fairways.
Okay.
But this summer just been, we definitely seen a huge improvement there, more than any other years. So,
that's awesome.
Usually our fairways stay pretty white or cream colour during summer.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a bit of a struggle because, you get a lot of people come and play here and they go, oh, why are the fairways dead? So dry
is probably a better word because they're not dead, really, because they're cooch, right?
They're cooch, they're sand around it, but
it's not. Yeah, it's a perception of them being dead, but they're not dead. They just switch off with the dryness of the summer, and that's the beauty of a cooch grass in particular. What I used to like about sand around a cooch in my situation as well in the Blue Mountains is that when it really turns off and dries right out, the plant just shuts down, and it's a sort of a self-preservation mechanism that the plant has, and it does it so well. And as soon as you get that first lick of rain, it's ready to bounce back hard.
It's straight away. And I think it's because it's so hungry. It's so thirsty as well. And as soon as it gets a little bit, it just takes all of it. It's but this year was the first summer that we had green fairways the whole year round.
Wow.
We put out a lot of water. It took a lot of work as the other areas that didn't have our pop-ups. We had to drag the knockers around.
Yep.
So it definitely put a lot of stress on my staff and I doing that. But we showed that we could do that, and the club were very thankful of it, as well as all the feedback. We had members of 40 to 50 years coming up to me saying, I've never seen the fairways this time of year look like this, as well as the turf quality. So we were able to give the fairways a little bit of a feed as well as we go through and apply wetting agent, things like that. Obviously, it's a bit different than how other courses can do it, and just have the fairways irrigate overnight. We're doing it during the day around golfers and in between people. So we might do one fairway a day where we'll put our wetting agent, and then we'll put the hoses on and just irrigate it in and make sure that fairway is good to go for that week. So it's very different than how other places might do it.
But it's what you've got to work with. That's what
we've got, and when you've got little little resources. You just got to use what you can just to be able to compete with everyone else.
And like you say, you've got your infrastructure, and what it is whatever it allows you to do. You do the best you can with it, and it doesn't mean that it's no good. It just means, like you said there, it's quite different. So you just manage the best you can, and it's an older golf course. It's got older infrastructure. You mentioned their aging irrigation system. I mean, these are all limitations in a sense, but these are things that the club's going to slowly work through. You've talked about putting in-ground heads, pop-ups in different areas as time moves and the budgets allow for. I mean, these are all wonderful improvements. And to people who might have played Queenscliff 10, 15 years ago, you're probably chalk and cheese now compared to where you were then as well.
Yes, we definitely are. I did my apprenticeship here back in 2012, and the change that I've seen from then to now is huge. We've had a lot of people come into the club and really improve the club as well. Our president, Brad Teal, he's really got the momentum going in the club moving forward, as well as bringing in members, as well as larger budgets with more money that we're allowed to spend out on course. In 2016, the club had 180 members and was in some serious debt. And now in 2026, we have 460 members.
Wow, what a turnaround.
And no debt. So it's great to hear when the club has no debt and things like that. So
that's exciting.
It's really exciting. And, this is a club that I loved and have so much passion for, being here and seeing it when it was at its worst, as a young apprentice and learning, and things like that. So,
and now you're able to come back and put your stamp on it, and
really put my stamp on it, and
a way that the club's improving financially as well.
It's really improving really well. Back then we never had any management. Now we have Rob is our manager, and he's really got this club going places, and as well as advertising, people are finding out about this place. There's so many people that I talk to out on the course that say, "Oh, I've played golf for 20 years and I didn't even know this place existed," and things like that.
Don't you find that really hard to believe sometimes? That said, you do have a security guard and a boom gate and a one lane bridge to get there. So I'm not going to say it's the easiest place to stumble across.
Not the easiest place,
but that's really staggering especially when you're a local or you've worked on a golf course and you hear those things. You're like, really? What are we not doing good enough? But it sounds like the club's improving in all these parts to get the name out there. And hey, being on here, we hope that this is going to help as well along the way, and having this conversation with yourself and talking about the golf club and the golf course. Mate, a couple of things I want to mention, I want to discuss with you just quickly before we let you go, is tell us a little bit about volunteers. I've heard you mention them there a couple of times. Volunteers on a small club it doesn't have a giant budget like some of the big well-known golf courses. They really go a long way to helping you on course, don't they? Tell us a little bit about your team that you've got.
They really do. So, we have a great bunch of volunteers here. It's run by a guy named Peter McSween. And he's got his guys that come in any weather condition. If it's really hot, if it's raining, anything, they will be here. So they always talk to me, see what needs to be done, but they have their little jobs every Monday that they do. They like to go out and divot tees. They empty up bins for us. They help with all the clearing of trees if there's tree damage. But they wash all the carts down. They do all these jobs as well as the heavy lifting that we try to do. When there's a turfing job, they will all turn up with a smile. They are the nicest group of guys, and it's something that I definitely take pride in having them part of my crew. Where a lot of golf courses have tried to get away from volunteers with safety issues, and sometimes we do have that, but we have managed it very well. That they know, they are aware. I only have one guy that's trained to use a chainsaw, things like that. So they all know who can use what, who can drive the tractor, who can drive what vehicle. But they help so much, as well as we have plenty of volunteers on the committee that come out and help. We have a guy named Cal Pettigrove that he oversees all our construction work. Every year he's been doing it for a long time, but he's been at the forefront of all the projects. He has great vision. He knows exactly the way that the club should look and the style that we are going for, as well as the understanding of the EMP, the Environmental Management Plan, moving the club forward. So that still stays in place. So no one can come in and, flatten a whole bunch of bearded heath or mooners or salt bush, where these orange belly parrots come and feed. None of those areas are getting damaged or touched, where, there's areas on the course that you go, oh, that would look good if there was a tee built in there, but no, the EMP's in place and we can't do that. So it's so he's someone that's so passionate about the construction and any small improvements we can do on the course. But his vision really matches up with my vision too. So it's
very good, mate.
It's really good there. But these are the sort of guys that keep everyone going and keep the club moving forward. But everyone knows everyone in the club. It's such a great community feel here.
That's so good. That's so good.
You hear a lot of clubs, they start to lose that when they start getting bigger and things like that. But this club, it just still feels the same. It feels like it was when I was an apprentice and there was, 100 members and you knew everyone. It still feels the same right now, even though the club's moving forward and there's a lot more members and there's a lot more green fees coming here every day.
Mate, fantastic to hear and really good again to hear that passion within the club and the trajectory that the club's on now to moving forward and improving on the whole. Mate, it's great to have those volunteers to complement your team. How many have you got on your team yourself? The paid greenkeeping stuff?
Yes, so there's 5 guys and me.
Yep.
So my 2IC, he's actually worked here for 48 years.
Wow.
So
well, you got to name
yes.
Who's that? You got to name him.
So that is Rick Webb. He
Unreal.
is an absolute legend here. I really look up to him, and he's taught me so much through my apprenticeship, and then to come back here as his boss was didn't feel weird at all, because we had that great relationship. So he was very willing just to stay as 2IC, and so he started here when he was 15 years old, and he's now 62. So
that's an incredible innings, far out.
Yeah, so he's he always jokes. He was always our bobcat guy that always moves all the soil, and he always jokes that there's not a crystal of sand that he hasn't touched on the island.
I don't doubt it.
So, he's great. I also have 2 qualified guys, Matt and Alex. They have been great to the crew, as well as teaching the younger guys out there on the course. I have one apprentice who's in his 3rd year, Ryan, and he just feels like he's my son. I really really have a lot of love for him, and he's learning so much and really really passionate. And then I also have part-time casual Cass, and he's doing well too. So
that's great, mate.
We have a great crew. I have a mechanic that comes in once a week.
All important, Luke, mate. They keep the shed running.
They do. So Luke at Turf Equipment Solutions, he's great. A lot of people on the Ballerine down here on the golf courses, they'll know who I'm talking about, as he's got a great name. But he, especially here with a club that has aging equipment and a lot of secondhand equipment, he can make anything work straight away. If I've got an issue, I'll call him. He'll be here straight away. So he's really great, and I think he's really important to our crew.
Sounds like you've got a great team, mate, overall. And as things improve, hopefully we see your machinery levels slowly start to improve as well, and infrastructure along the way when the club can afford to do those things. And it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen in one big go. It's all about doing it as the club can afford to. So, mate, we look forward to hearing that improvement. Now, before you go, mate, I've got to mention it. A lot of people down in Victoria have probably read or heard a little bit about some of the land ownership, which is changing a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit of stuff of what we've heard about?
Yes, so obviously you heard that the land might be changing ownership with the defence. So for the minute now, we're just doing our usual thing down here. So Defence has stated in its briefing notes that it intends to deal with the club, as we do have the licence. And other than that, there's not much more information that we do know. There's been no price or no terms and conditions at this minute.
Okay, so these are like early discussions at the Defence. They're a public body in a sense. They've got to announce what's going on and the way things will work. So it's early days. Discussions, no doubt, are ongoing, and hopefully, look, you guys will be able to work towards an outcome. And when that happens, mate, you'll be able to let me know. The club, Brad, can let me know, and then we can tell everybody what's happening once all that gets finalised. But we hope it all goes well, and those discussions are certainly positive for the club. And look, I'm sure we look forward to be able to talking about those positive outcomes in the not too distant future, with all things being equal.
Yes, I hope so too.
Look, Jake, mate, what a whirlwind tour in a short conversation to give us an idea of what Queenscliff is. And I've spoken to Brad in the past on the phone as well, spoken to yourself. Mate, it's great to be able to have yourself on here talking about Queenscliff Golf Club and its unique site, what you've got there as a golf course. It's something that I suggest people go and visit. It's on my list to go to. I haven't been down that way really ever from Melbourne to visit golf courses down there myself yet. But it is probably at the top of my list before any of the well-known names, because I like to visit ones that are a little bit unknown and give you a surprise. And some of the photos you've sent me, some of the things that I've seen following the club social media as well. It's pardon me. There's that morning voice. It's great to be able to look into it and certainly have it on the list. And for people who are living down that way or travel down that way for golf to some of the other courses, get in touch with Queenscliff and see if you can sort yourself out a time to go and experience it. I've seen other people that I follow on social media get down there and enjoy some games of golf. So, mate, it's great to have you on talking about it, sharing some insight, and we really want to get the place known a little bit more even still. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing some of the improvements that you've been up to, Jake.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on, Steve. But I really look forward to having you come down, and I'll show you around the place, and I look forward to that. So
absolutely. Jake Sizer, Superintendent at Queenscliff Golf Club, thank you so much for coming on to Walking the Fairways.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Thanks to Jake for that awesome insight at Queenscliff. Now we're going to move to Melbourne, a little bit closer to Melbourne City now, and we go to Box Hill Golf Club, and that's located about 30 minutes drive to the east of Melbourne City. Now, Crafter Mogford Golf Strategies, the design firm, have been busy with some new work here on the 15th hole at Box Hill. There's been work completed redesigning 3 new greenside bunkers and the surrounds of the green itself here. The green specifically is unchanged, but it's the surrounds and the bunkers around the green that have been worked on here at the 15th of Box Hill. All the new work has been completed now, and turf has been laid all in the surrounds and around the bunkers and everything, all brand new stuff done. So all that turf is down, and it's now just growing time. Great to see Box Hill improving on course under the design hand of Crafter Mogford. And for those of you, Box Hill, I mentioned there, it's out the east. It's a little bit to the north of Riversdale. So if some of you have heard of that or you're not sure, it's over that eastern side of town, but it's not near the Sandbelt, if that's the right way of saying it. Sandbelt is down the southeast. This is very directly east of Melbourne City. So well done to Box Hill and Crafter Mogford. Now we're going to jump to Queensland. I'm just going to jump around all over the place. I feel like no particular order, clockwise or anti-clockwise. I'm just going to go all over the joint. Now going to go up to Redcliffe Golf Club in Brisbane's north, and all the new work as part of Stage 1, designed by Crafter Mogford, have now been opened for play just a couple of weeks ago. Now, this includes holes 7, 8 and 11. So 3 holes were worked on and they're now in play, which includes some fairway improvements, but mostly the new tee complexes of those 3 holes and all new green and bunker complexes of those 3 holes. Now, I did report on this not so long ago in detail about the work that's been done and the way that the holes have been slightly adjusted and modified, but now it's officially open for play. So the membership are out there enjoying it, getting a feel for it, and seeing just how they're going to be able to play and approach the new specific design details that have been brought into these holes. So it's great work by the course maintenance team, getting it all grown in and getting it ready for play. Well, it's the last hurrah, we're into March now, so all the work's been done up there in the warm time of the year before everything starts to cool down and shut down. So it's great that this has been opened up in time. So well done at Redcliffe Golf Club, and great to see stage 1 of these works opened for play. Now, this time we head to the Apple Isle, and we're going into Tasmania. Now, this is a project that I haven't spoken of for quite some time, and that is Country Club Golf Course, which is located in Prospect Vale, which is a suburb in the southeast of Launceston in the north of Tasmania. Now, they've been making a number of announcements over the past couple of months, including the opening of their brand new driving range, which has been completely reworked and remade to sort of resemble one of the more modern types of ones that you're going to see with targets on the ground, big netting all the way around it, protected. It looks like a very, very impressive driving range, I've got to be honest. So that's now open for play, and it's the first of all of the new works that's happening. This place has been essentially closed for a while. The golf course, all of the golf facilities have been closed down while they do a whole heap of new work here. So the driving range is the first thing to open, and people are using it. They're getting out there. We're seeing videos and photos of it being open and utilised, which is great to see. It's getting people interested again at the site, and this is a great way to engage everybody again, to see what's going on a little bit and how it's been modernised, this facility here at Country Club. But one of the other things that they've also done here at Country Club is that they've engaged one of Tasmania's favourite sons, and that is Ricky Ponting. They've engaged him as the club's ambassador. Now, Ricky recently saw the new course after playing the front 9 holes, and by all accounts was very impressed. He made some comments in the media as part of his new ambassadorship with the club, with Country Club. And certainly, look, Ricky's a great golfer. He plays off, I think, 1 or 2, so he certainly can play golf. We know that. Anyone in the golf space and who follows cricket knows Ricky's a very good golfer. And so, look, this is probably a very good stroke of genius to get someone like Ricky on board, and he will certainly get the name out there as much as anybody is able to. So there's lots of great golf, as we know, in Tasmania, and this is a very different type of project here at Country Club. So the golf course, the 18-hole golf course that's attached to Country Club, is an 18-hole golf course. It's being redesigned by Robin Gibson. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I do not know of any of Robin's work. That doesn't mean to say much about his work at all here at Country Club, other than to say that I don't know who he is. But I have been able, fortunately, to see a couple of photos of the golf course and some of the new works, and it looks incredibly interesting, I must say. I've heard a little bit of chatter in the industry, and some people are saying that it is very, very impressive. There's not a lot of details about this, and we don't really know a great deal other than that Ricky is now going to be talking about it. So that's a great thing that I think is going to give us a lot more. I've looked at some satellite imagery just to see what I can find, any information of imagery that I can find about the work that's been done there. And the satellite stuff isn't updated always and regularly. So what I can see is some of the water bodies have changed on the golf course. Some of them have been enlarged a little bit and made slightly different. I've seen some of the creek lines have been adjusted, and the creek lines have been enhanced as well on those satellite images I can see. But overall, if you look at it compared to some of the older imagery of the golf course compared to what's being constructed at the moment, it's chalk and cheese. Like, it is a real standout compared to what it was. It's so much better than what it was on some of the satellite photos that I've been able to sort of get a look at. And it's just, so much better. All of the course works appear to be on the main paddock of the golf course, and that's on the clubhouse side of the property. The golf course is split by Country Club Avenue. So there's 12 holes in the southern portion, which is on the clubhouse side of the property, and on the northern portion, there's 6 holes that run up through there. Now, like I said, all the work seems to be in the southern part on the 12 holes on the clubhouse side, and the 6 holes on the north side, from what I can gather, now I might be wrong, and I'm happy to be proven wrong in this one, but it doesn't look like there's been any work done there just yet. I don't know what scope they may or may not have to do on those 6 holes, but as it stands, from what I can see in anything that I've been looking at, I can't see any work done over there. So there's a whole lot of work being done on the 12 holes on the clubhouse side, on the southern end, but nothing yet done on the north side. So are they going to do work on that side? I don't know. But as I do find information out, I'll be sure to keep you posted. It's certainly very interesting to see this one unfolding and trying to dig deep to try and get some information about it. Overall, I do know that this project is being kept very, very quiet, and it's quite closed down during all of this construction process. Now, for better or worse, I suppose time will tell, but it's certainly one that's being kept under wraps a great deal. Now, this is a huge investment by Country Club, and Robin Gibson is clearly putting his mark on the place, so it will be interesting to see more of the new Country Club in the future, and no doubt that will be through Ricky Ponting, and that's part of them signing him up as an ambassador. So stay tuned at Country Club, one to mention that they're doing work, and look, I know this has been happening for a little while. I have reported this for the last few years now, that it was leading into doing work, and it was COVID, and now that the work started and it's been going on for a little while, but it's just been kept under wraps. So there's not a lot to talk about. I've just recently been able to dig up a little bit more info, and as I find it, I'll keep you posted. That's all I can do, ladies and gentlemen. So Country Club in Launceston in the north of Tassie is doing some work. And I will say this, this does not look like a golf course that's like any of the new courses that we've seen opened up. We talk about Cape Wickham, Ocean Dunes, 7 Mile. It doesn't look like anything like that around Tasmania. So it's going to be a bit more parklandy from what I can gather. It's going to be a little bit more, I don't know if I want to use the word American-style parkland, but it kind of has a little bit of that feel from some of the images I'm seeing. Now, I will say this, that does not mean that it's not going to be any good, because I know there's plenty of people out there that really enjoy playing this type of golf, if that's what it turns out to be. Like I said, I'm struggling to see much about it. So, but I have seen their website. They do talk about parkland on their new website. Clickables in the show notes, so you can go and have a look yourself at some of the things that I've seen online, but there's not a lot. So I just know that it doesn't have this rugged, natural feel. And in fact, the words on their website speak away from that very clearly. So it's a different golf offering. And I'm very interested to see where this is going to go. I'm quite excited by this one because, like I said, it's under wraps. So there you go. That's what's coming out of Tasmania. Now we head over to Western Australia, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk a little bit more about the work that's been going on at Royal Perth Golf Club. Now, last month, they have officially opened Stage 2 of their course redesign works, and that redesign work has been done in combination with Harley Cruz from Cruz Golf, along with Clayton DeVries Pont, that's CDP, as you know, and I know Lucas Michel, golf course architect Lucas Michel, as part of the CDP team, has been on site doing a lot of the work, shaping and finishing things off as well, and getting that construction work done. So it's look, I'm a bit of a fan of what's going on here. Harley and I have spoken at length about some of this work as well. The new works that is now open for play, I'm just going to run through them with you to give you an idea of where things are at, if any of you out there in the West know the golf course a little bit. So the works that's open for play, they've got a new practice green and a new giant Himalayas putting green right outside the clubhouse. Now, they've redone that. They're joined together a little bit. There's a practice green, there's a bunker there. But this Himalayas putting green looks unreal. I think it's about 1,750 square metres. It's big, and it looks fantastic. And just right in this... So the clubhouse is an L shape at right angles, the building itself, and this is wedged in that corner, if you like, of that right angle. It looks fantastic, and I really am impressed by it. I can't wait to get there, hopefully one day, and see it. But, really, really impressive. Some of the other work, they've done a whole heap of work on this Stage 2, so I'll run through the rest of the work. Now, they've done a new 7th green complex, so entire 7th green complex has been completed. They've built a new par 3 8th hole, so an entire new hole that didn't exist before has been constructed. The 13th hole has had a whole new green complex built, and that hole will ultimately become the 12th hole in the rerouting when it's changed, when everything's finished. But as it stands, it's the 13th, and they have a whole new green complex there. They've built another new par 3 from nowhere, and that will become the future 13th hole. So that hole has been built from scratch. The 18th has a new green complex, which has been completed. So a lot of this work, obviously, here is done up around the clubhouse area as well. And they've built a new par 3 19th spare hole. So there's stacks of work done. lots of grass grown in, greens have been grown in, and it's all open for play, right? So the membership are out there enjoying this. And again, a little bit like Redcliffe, where they're working out how to play these holes and what's going to work for their own individual games, how it's going to work in different weather conditions. But interesting stuff, and it's great to see that Stage 2 is open for play. Again, right at the right time, the shoulder season, getting into autumn now, so people can enjoy it through the winter as the club continues to move forward with these works. Now, there's so much being done at Royal Perth, which is good to see, and the grow-in work done by a friend of the podcast, Superintendent Pat Casey and his team on course, is outstanding, because the images that I've seen of the finished work is fantastic. And to be open for play so well and rather quickly, I must say, is well done, and a credit to Pat and his team. Now, the Stage 3 works, and Stage 3 is the final stage of the 18-hole redesign of Royal Perth. Stage 3 is set to begin towards the middle of this year, and it is scheduled or roughly penciled in to be completed early next year. So, again, this is an enormous amount of work at Royal Perth in the entire scope of works to rebuild this 18-hole golf course and redesign and reimagine it, if you like. And it's an amazing transformation for the golf club. So good to see for the membership and for the future of their club. So I'm looking forward to seeing it all completed and excited for them. Now, along with the course constructions, the maintenance team, as I mentioned, led by Pat Casey, have just taken delivery of 2 new pieces of equipment. So they're investing in their machinery and investing into the maintenance of the golf course as well, which is fantastic. And they've recently received delivery of a new broadacre rough mower and a new triplex greens mower. So it's important to see a golf course like this not just build the course, but they've got to maintain it at the highest standard possible that they can. So they've got to give Pat and his team the tools to do so. It's great to see that they're on the right track during construction, but also that they will be ready to keep the turf in peak condition with the addition of these new mowers, and they're investing in right now as well. So well done to Royal Perth on many fronts, and I love to keep you updated about what's going on in the West, as you know. Now we come back a little bit to South Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Here's something very different. So I'm going to give a shout out, this one, to Coffin Bay Golf Course. Now, some of you are going to be going, where's Coffin Bay? I've never heard of Coffin Bay. It's an interesting name itself. But look, Coffin Bay Golf Course is out on the southern end of the Eyre Peninsula to the west of Adelaide. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of an idea of where this part of the country is, because there's plenty of you that won't have a clue of where I'm talking about. So to give all of you listening that haven't had the opportunity to travel around Australia far and wide, just where the Eyre Peninsula is, it's somewhat remote. It's about 280 kilometres as the crow flies west of Adelaide to get to this part, the tip down the bottom southern end of Eyre Peninsula. And as the crow flies, you've got to go across the St Vincent Gulf and then across Spencer Gulf to get there, that 280 k's. Now, this is the weird bit, right? By car, it's a big round horseshoe loop up north. So by car, you've got to go north to the top of Spencer Gulf, through the approximate halfway mark of the township of Port Augusta, and then you've got to turn south to go down the Eyre Peninsula to Coffin Bay, which is just to the west of Port Lincoln, which is probably the most southern town. It is the most southern town on the Eyre Peninsula. Beautiful fishing region as well, that part of the country. And this horseshoe road trip north and then back south on the other side of the Spencer Gulf is around 680 kilometres, right? So it's not that far across in directly west as the crow flies, but it's an enormous loop around. I think it's about 7.5, 8 hours drive to get around to Coffin Bay from Adelaide. It's a long way, and it's a very remote part of the country. And for the most part, like Eyre Peninsula at the tip is a little bit fertile. They do farming down that way as well. But once you get up halfway down, if you like, or halfway up the Eyre Peninsula, there's lots of mining. It's very dry. It bleeds into the deserts, and it's a very unique part of the country. It's actually quite an amazing part of Australia. So that's to give you a bit of an idea of where it is in South Australia. Now, Coffin Bay Golf Course is maintained by a team of volunteers, and the course itself is managed under the Coffin Bay Sporting Club banner. And they've recently upgraded their greens mower with the purchase of a brand new triplex mower. Now, I love seeing when small regional clubs are able to lift the game and the quality of their golf course when they're able to purchase new machinery, and this is very much a big deal for Coffin Bay Golf Course. A little bit about the golf course itself. It's a 9-hole track. It's got kike fairways and grass greens. And a little tidbit from what I can research into, it's only one of 2 golf courses with grass greens at that southern end of the Eyre Peninsula out of the 6 golf courses that are in that region. So a shout out to anyone and everyone involved at Coffin Bay and who frequent Coffin Bay to enjoy the game of golf. It looks like a really good little 9-holer. And Coffin Bay looks like a very unique part of that Eyre Peninsula as well. On that little, it's on the opposite side to Port Lincoln, which is down that end as well. Which a lot of people know of Port Lincoln, but not of Coffin Bay. So there you go. Shout out to Coffin Bay Golf Course. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for Australia. But we're going to jump across to New Zealand, where I've got a little bit of news that I've come across as well, and that is reports that work has officially commenced on the new Douglas Links Golf Course on New Zealand's North Island, which is just shy of about 100 kilometres to the north of the capital of Wellington. Now, the golf course is going to be located right along the beach and is flanked to the south by the Oho River, and the beach is on the western side. The design of this new golf course is done by Darius Oliver, who was one half of the team to bring us Cape Wickham on King Island here in Tasmania in Australia, and Darius was also behind the soon-to-open Cliffs Kangaroo Island golf course, which you may have listened to with my interview with the owner of the Cliffs, Sam Atkins. Darius did the design for the Cliffs, and I'll have clickables in the show notes because it's a great interview with Sam Atkins, the owner of the Cliffs, and real good insight. So, look, Douglas Links reports that it's started construction. Now, this is a very exciting project in New Zealand, and as is usually projected, it is planned to take about 2 years of construction and growing to be ready to open for play in 2028. Now, these early forecast timelines are always optimistic, I find, from any project that I've followed, but their goal is always the same, to finish and be open as soon as possible. That's the short version. They usually put 2 years on it. There's all sorts of different things that can challenge that or delay that from time to time, weather conditions in particular. But the short version is they want to finish it as fast as they can. So 2 years is a bit of a roughie. I, for one, am looking very much forward to seeing and hearing more about Douglas Links in the future as more work gets completed and we start to hopefully see some images probably in the latter part of that 2 year time frame. So good stuff to see and hear about Douglas Links in New Zealand's North Island. Now, a final piece out of New Zealand, this one's an interesting one to follow. And you might recall a little while ago I mentioned that Takapuna Golf Course in Auckland's north, the public golf course that it is, well, they've had a bit of pressure to stay alive as an 18-hole golf course. And the decision is almost here on whether or not the local council will vote to keep some golf or remove golf altogether from this local site. Now, this is all on the back of severe flooding in the region. Now, the council claims they need to remove the golf course and build a sizable wetland to deal with flood control and water detention during high rainfall events to prevent potential loss of life and significant damage downstream, which was a result of the floods that brought all of this to attention. And the club want to remain on the site with a golf course of some type. Now, the council is soon to vote, as I say, and the golf club have put forward a new revised plan of their original fight to keep 18 holes. So it began with wanting to stay 18 holes and some modifications, but now that the golf club have come out with this new proposal to assist the council with their primary purpose, the council's primary purpose, of a permanent wetland at the northeastern corner of the property. The club have come in with a 12-hole concept. They've decided to sort of say that, okay, look, you really want to do this with a wetland, so let's not fight it and say that you can't do it. Let's work together. So they've come back with a revised 12-hole routing that gives enough sizable space, in their opinion, about having a permanent wetland on the site to assist with the challenges of what they want. Now, will this be enough, though, for what the council want or need or claim that they want or need? We don't know that answer. But it is coming. And it is interesting once again to see that public golf courses under pressure, not only here in Australia, but also in New Zealand. Now, my only gripe here is that the council are saying they need to remove golf to put in this wetland and deal with the floodwaters, and that they possibly can't do that if the golf course is still on the site. Well, we all know that golf courses can be built in areas where floodwaters and stormwaters need to be detained to mitigate flooding, and that is the beauty of a golf course in a low-lying area. So, look, in my opinion, and I've got to say that, it's in my opinion, I'm calling BS on this as the reason that they need to get rid of the golf course, because they can work well together. I don't believe they need to get rid of golf altogether in this public space. And there's very much a way that I believe that both can work together. Anyway, we hold our breath that the council will vote to keep a form of golf, public golf, at Takapuna. Hopefully it'll be this 12-hole routing, this revised routing that the club have put forward, and I will endeavour to keep you up to date on this one. But it's an interesting challenge over there, and look, I've done a lot of research in the background of the site, the flood challenges that they had, what went on when this big flood occurred and how it all happened. And invariably, in my opinion, and I've seen similar things here in Australia, you see where these golf courses are and when these flooding events happen, and they just say, look, it's easy to get rid of the golf course and we'll just make it something else. And, we have football fields and we have sporting ovals and we have all sorts of, parkland space to deal with detention of water during heavy rainfall events to mitigate downstream flooding. There's nothing to stop a golf course being built in that space as well to do it. A permanent wetland is just a glossy way of saying that we want to put something else in there, because a wetland, it's going to have a little bit of control to detain water, but at the end of the day, it has to hold it all back and flood other areas that are otherwise dry to slowly release the water downstream. And that's usually how it works. So it can be done with a golf course, in my opinion. I don't believe I'm saying anything untoward about it, but that's why I'm saying it's BS. I think that if the council wanted to work at it and work with the golf club to keep public golf there, I've got no doubt they could come out with a solution. And we have very smart people in the industry of golf course architecture, and indeed very much so in New Zealand. They can use a homegrown architect if they choose, let alone an international one, to come up with the solutions for this. You get engineers involved. Look, there's plenty of ways to do it. It's just whether they want to or not. And it sounds like they just don't. So I'll keep you up to date on that one, and we'll see how it plays out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap of Walking the Fairways and the news around Australia and New Zealand. A big thank you to Superintendent Jake Sizer of Queenscliff Golf Club down there in Victoria on Swan Island. And I really appreciated him coming on and sharing with you what they've been up to on the beautiful golf course at Queenscliff. And as I say, get down there and have a game. And if you haven't been there for a while, go for it. And if you have never been there, have a look into it and see if you can organise yourself a trip down there, because it is an absolutely magnificent space. And I'm looking forward, as I say, to getting there myself in the not-too-distant future. Now, don't forget to reach out to me on socials. You can do that and send me a message if you want to, or you can get in touch with me at thegolfinggreenkeeper@gmail.com if you or your club want to share what you're up to and how you're improving your golf course, no matter where you are in Australia or New Zealand. Small club or big, it doesn't matter. I'm here to show you how you're improving and what you're doing to make your course better for all the golfers out there that enjoy playing this wonderful game of golf. Now, don't forget about the clickables in the show notes. I've done all the homework for you, and there's plenty of things to take you straight to some of the stuff that we've talked about in this segment of Walking the Fairways. And if you could leave a review, pass it around. Like, share, subscribe is the wonderful line that people say. And if you could pass it around to anyone who you know might be interested in hearing about what's happening on golf courses across Australia and New Zealand to stay up to date with what's going on. A big thank you to new partner of this segment of Walking the Fairways, and that is Enview. And of course, it is so good having Yuri Carpro join on the pod to pass on some of his thoughts on what to keep a watchful eye on out there on your golf course. For the people looking after all the turf surfaces and the different turf managers out there looking after golf courses, make sure you visit their website at enview.com.au. That's envu.com.au. And go also to their turf and ornamentals page. And that's where you can find out information about the products that they have available to help you look after your course and maintain your golf course better. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook on the social media channels. And that's also where they share some of their deals that they've got going on for their products from time to time, so you can stay up to date. And of course, the current one that they have is for the herbicide Spectacle. And that ends on March 31. So if you want to get involved and get in on that action, you've only got a couple of days left. Thank you also to partners Dint Golf Solutions. Check out their website for all their products available and their long life tines that they have this time of the year in particular. It's all coming up and we're doing lots of renovations around on golf courses. Make sure you check them out at dint.com.au and follow them on socials. You can find them on Facebook at Dint Golf Solutions and, of course, on Instagram at dint.golf.solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. You hit them clean, we'll keep them green, and I'll catch up with you very soon.